Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we have another Street Fighter character discussion, and it is none other than the antagonist face of the company, Bison. Now I'll admit, I've been super excited to talk about this character because he is easily on my top 3 characters in the Street Fighter universe, up there with probably, top 4 maybe? I don't know, it's him, Ryu, Cammy, Yuri. They are my top 4. But I'm super excited to talk about Bison, and the first thing we're going to talk about is his character design. Street Fighter needs to receive a lot of credit for their character designs because they are so simple, but they get to the point. You know everything just by looking at them. You look at Bison, you're like, he's a piece of shit dictator. I mean, you could just tell by looking at him. And I'm not even talking about the fit. Just look at his fucking face. The Broly eyes, it tells you everything you need to know. The grin, the fucking hat. Like, you know what Bison's about just by looking at him. Now, looking at him, I do wonder what a more scrawny Bison would look like. Like maybe a lankier, creepier looking Bison. Imagine that smile with a lanky, creepier Bison, but I still love that he's bulky as shit. He is built like Bowser. Dude is menacing as fuck. And that's the point of your villain. That's what you need to convey with your villain in a series like this. And Bison just does it perfectly. It is I don't know if I'm going to say a 10 out of 10. It's like a 9 out of 10 design. It works so well. Now that we have the character design out of the way, we can talk about his origin before Shadaloo. Not much is really known about Bison, and I would love to see some way where we could learn that. I feel like with the Kuma, we've seen his backstory in comic books and live action stuff, but we never really seen Bison's backstory, and I'd be super interested because Bison is, most people won't pick up on this. He is a master martial artist, and it just doesn't come across that way, but he is. And he actually killed his master so that he can get stronger. It's kind of generic, but it's kind of that Emperor Palpatine backstory, and I wish I could just see it play out because I think it'd be really interesting. The next thing I want to talk about is the relationship between the Satsui no Hado and the Psycho Power. Unfortunately, what that connection is, I really don't know. I mean, they're pretty much the same thing. Bison says that he learned that the Psycho Power was all the bad in someone, which is kind of what the Satsui no Hado is. And Bison even says that Satsui no Hado is the perfect form of Psycho Power. So I guess Psycho Power is just a lesser Satsui no Hado, and they're both anyone can achieve these powers. It's not like a person exclusive thing, but it can be strong in people, as I guess it's kind of like the Force. So that's what Psycho Power is. I wish they would go more into detail on it, but I guess that's it. Before I continue further, honestly, I just want to point out that Shadaloo's awesome. The group is so fucking cool, and I like every member in it. Bison's dope, Vega, Balrog, Sagat, the Dolls, Cammy. I even like Fong, to be honest. I know a lot of people hate Fong, but I even like Fong, so I think Shadaloo is awesome. They really just have no misses. One of the more grueling moments with Shadaloo can be found in the Udon comics. Bison actually sends uses the dolls, uses Chun-Li's father to test the dolls, and they actually end up killing him, which is really wild. Now I know there's the memes of Bison wanting Cammy's body because he wants to be a hot waifu, which is fucking hilarious. I don't know why he chose Cammy. It's just Cammy's was strong with Psycho Power, like the Link. So, and I guess it makes sense because Cammy's ridiculously powerful in the verse, so I'm not surprised. It does make me wonder if he would be more interested in a body like Yuri's, considering it's even more powerful than Cammy's. But moving on, we have his battle with Chun-Li, Guile, Nash in the Udon comics is one of my favorite battles. The way they display Bison just tossing everyone around like they ain't shit. He's no-selling their attacks. I mean, this dude, you really notice how big and bulky this motherfucker is. And of course, nobody can hang with this dude. I mean, this dude killed Nash before, and then Nash sacrifices himself again here just so M Bison can come back, and then Nash comes back as well in Street Fighter V, and then Nash sacrifices himself yet again, and M Bison lives it twice. Like Nash is 0-3 at this point. Now, Psycho Power does seem to be able to like get the Satsui no Hado out of people a little bit when he like manipulates Ryu and Ken, especially Evil Ken. Like you really see a lot of Satsui no Hado in Ken at that moment. So it is interesting that Psycho Power isn't as strong as Satsui no Hado, but it is capable of bringing it out of other people who are strong with that link between the Hado. But weirdly enough, it makes me question, like, does M. Bison have the Hado then? Like, if he has Psycho Power and it's just a weaker form of the Satsui no Hado, does he have Hado? Could M. Bison, like, do a Hadouken if he really wanted to? I don't know. It's a weird connection. That connection did not help him in a fight against Ryu, though. Ryu and him fight twice. In the first battle, M. Bison actually defeats him and brings him to manipulate him. I'm not going to go into it because it doesn't involve M. Bison too much. You could look at that in my Ryu discussion video and what happens in those events, but to summarize, he's freed by his friends. And then in the second battle, they have their fated duel, where Ryu actually gets the win back. M. Bison doesn't really have his most proudest moments back to back, because then he manages to live. He starts a tournament, and Akuma then yeets him, because Ryu gets to the finals against M. Bison, Akuma just shows up, Raging Demon, and he's gone. M. Bison somehow lives that too. The outcome of that battle is unclear, but you would assume that Akuma won, more than likely. I talk about this in my Akuma character discussion video, shameless plug for that video as well. I like M. Bison better. I think Akuma lacks involvement with a lot of the cast. And that's intentional, you know, Akuma's supposed to just be involved with Ryu and Goken, but I just feel like it'd be a lot more interesting if he had character relations to more people, because I feel like that's what makes Street Fighter characters fun. And M. Bison has relationships with, what, like 75% of the cast, if not more? One of those very interesting relationships is with Yuri. Like, you'd think Yuri would be like the generic henchman to M. Bison, but she's not. Yuri actually wants revenge on him. That's a whole different story. I'll get to it when I get my Yuri character discussion, but I'm a fan of that relationship too. I wish that they had had more of like a canon event fight between the two of them. Because Yuri never really gets to confront M. Bison in the canon. I would have liked to seen that. But M. Bison is just so fucking cool. I mean, during that whole thing with Yuri, Seth takes over Sin, starts Sin, I mean, which is like an offshoot of Shadaloo. And M. Bison's like, get that weak ass shit out of here. Like, after Seth's defeated, M. Bison shows up and steps on his body and shit. Like, he basically does, ironically, to Seth what Akuma did to him before. This brings us to Street Fighter V, where M. Bison's power fucking skyrockets. Like, he becomes ridiculously powerful. Like, a new powered up Nash that's, like, amped by Urien and Colleen can't do shit to him. Chun-Li, after all this training, Guile, I even forget who else was trying to throw hands with him. Regardless, it didn't matter. M. Bison was folding everyone. So they really made him out to be a big deal, and this leads to his battle with Ryu. Ryu, at this point, who masters the power of nothingness, which is pretty much the opposite of the Psycho Power at this point. And of course, Ryu dogs. You know, M. Bison's got a history of getting dogged out by the Hado users. Ryu kills him, and that was the last we saw of M. Bison. But in this game, they really did a good job making M. Bison feel like a final boss in the series. I mean, he even whoops Necalli. He's just like, you know, you're not it. You got to go back to the drawing board, your ass. Now, I'd like to see Necalli as a DLC, to be honest. I would be super interested with the moveset. I don't really care much for the character, but the moveset could have been interesting. I'll do my character discussion on Necalli eventually, but for now, we'll just leave it at that. M. Bison was dope in Street Fighter V. As far as Street Fighter 6 goes, we're going to get into spoiler territory, so if you haven't beat Street Fighter 6 or don't want to know anything about Street Fighter 6, you should probably stop here. But in Street Fighter 6, we learned that JP's like, you know, someone who worked for M. Bison. It's not the most interesting thing, but I love Shadaloo, and I'm fine if I keep getting it. I know people are sick of it, but not me. I love Shadaloo. It is what it is. Will we get M. Bison as a DLC? God, I hope so. But there you go. That is our discussion on M. Bison, the main antagonist of the Street Fighter series, and one of my favorite fighting game characters of all time. Thank you guys so much for watching. I have more Street Fighter discussion videos on the channel if you guys want to go watch that. I got Naruto content, Dragon Ball, Bleach, Tekken, Street Fighter, Marvel. I am into all sorts of shit. So if you guys want more character discussions like this, subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'm out. Bye.